We have Yinka Adewi here, and he is one of the co-founders of GoLemon. If you've not heard of GoLemon yet, I have a feeling this is a great opportunity for you. When it comes to groceries, right, and everyday essentials for your home, this particular platform has created a unique way for them to get straight to your doorstep. It's great to have you here with us. All right, so Yinka, welcome. I went through a bit of your profile, and you have quite an interesting background. You started in fintech, and then suddenly, you know, you decided to put together your own platform. Let's talk about that journey, switching from fintech into actual e-commerce. Is it e-commerce? Is it considered? It is e-commerce. All right, fantastic. Talk to us.
In 2017, or for some 7 years, I worked at Paystack. Paystack is one of, I'd say, Nigeria's biggest tech companies that has built payment infrastructure to allow payments generally to move from offline to online. And I spent some 7 years there, just in products, helping to build some of the products that a lot of people use and to power just payment services. The journey to GoLemon was somewhat straightforward in the sense that what Paystack represents is largely infrastructure with tech that allows for a lot of other layers to be built on top, right? And that's what the opportunity with groceries is. The journey for GoLemon started really from Paystack. And it started with just looking at data.
So you were looking at numbers?
Correct.
You were looking at, I guess, how much money was flowing in from one industry to another, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was
having access to the back end.
Yes, it was partly that, but it was also that we're seeing that year after year, tens of thousands or millions of Nigerians were getting familiar with paying online for different use cases, for savings, for financial services. But what the data showed at the time, or even up until now, that even though a lot of people spend, the average Nigerian home spends about 50% of their earnings on food and groceries.
Wow.
But even though people were getting familiar with paying online, a lot of those transactions and payments were still largely on services and outside of commerce, which they spend half of their earning on. So what that showed is that there was a trending, or there was an opportunity that was coming. On the one hand, people were already getting familiar with paying online.
Yeah.
On the second hand, people were spending half of their earnings buying groceries and the things that they need to take care of their house, but they have to go in person to the market to do all of that.
Physically going.
Exactly.
Always physically going.
Exactly.
So this is a grocery store, but it's online.
Correct.
Trying to shift that mindset, help people understand how these beautiful tomatoes look on this site is going to look, is it going to look that good when it gets to my home? How breaking that, it's a mental block really. It's a mindset that, okay, these guys can't really deliver as much as if I go to the market and see the produce for myself. How will you be able to surmount that?
Yes. It's a journey. That trust is one of the biggest challenges with generally commerce moving from in-person, where you feel and see, like you've described, to, I guess, digitizing some part of it, where you trust that someone brings in the quality of things that you need. But there's a lot of intentionality around that. In the background, what we're building is not just a last-mile logistics service that brings the items to you. What we're building is an infrastructure that powers the end-to-end movement of goods from the source to you as a customer. So for us, there's a lot of things and data that we're using to improve. There's a lot of technology, but even like physical infrastructure that we're...
So I have to take you back a little. You said from the source. Is that the farmers?
Correct.
Are you using actual African Nigerian farmers?
Correct.
So GoLemon isn't just about the tech.
Correct.
You're connecting with local producers, right?
Yes.
But how does the technology help their own experience?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there. First is that the supply chain that powers our focus on grocery commerce in this part of the world is very fragmented, it's very disjointed. There's many touch points, and all of those touch points don't connect and don't touch themselves. They don't use data, they don't they don't interact with each other. So where technology comes is in many fronts. On the consumer side, you see an app that you interact with. That's just one part of it. In fact, that's a tiny part of it. That's the easiest part of it. What happens in the background are a lot of interesting work that is also powered by tech, and I can specify. So, for example, one of the most important learnings, it feels obvious when you think about it, but about 80% of grocery purchase are repeat stuff. Like people buy the same thing over and over. So what that means is that there's a lot of optimization that can come into, and efficiency that can come into the supply chain of goods movements from the source to the end by forecasting, by using data to predict like how consumers will behave, what they will buy, which helps to improve and reduce, for example, wastage, improve storage, controlling supply, demand. So there's a lot of technology work that happens in the background, and that's why we think of ourselves, or we are placed as an infra behind the shop that you interact with, which is an app.
Okay, so now when it comes to the experience from the producer's side, I say this because I think of the average farmer, probably somewhere in the north, or let's say middle belt, trying to get their produce down to Lagos. I'm just using Lagos as an example now. That journey, there's a lot that happens from there to Lagos. The vehicle, the people loading the produce onto the trucks, and then eventually it gets to a warehouse or a storage point in Lagos where it's now distributed, right? So you've talked about starting from the very beginning. How has technology improved that particular process? Yeah,
it's a journey. I wouldn't say that our touch point has like covered, or the impacts at the moment, I think is still, it's a journey. That's the way that I put it. So what it means, GoLemon launched approximately 2 years ago, 2024. So there's been 2 years of building those relationships and connecting and even convincing at the source that this is an opportunity that exists. So what it means for us is that at the moment, the level of interaction and exposure that we have with the source is still in the formative stage. There's a lot of value that we are already learning and offering to them. An example of that is we introduced an experience in the GoLemon ecosystem called Misfits. And that is a part of GoLemon that helps to handle produce that are otherwise waste, like things that people will dispose. But if you think about like traditional or cultural Nigeria, where when you go to the market, growing up, for example, I know that when I go to the market with my parents or with my mom, I know that the woman that sells tomato also offers esha at some discounts, right? Exactly, things that would go to waste. What we've done, for example, is that we introduced the line into the GoLemon products that allows for those farmers to sell those products through GoLemon at a reduced rate. And at the moment, even as a grocery business, we currently, our waste is less than 1% of our sales. So those are things, and we're exposing, of course, in the long term, the idea is that we're able to drive this at scale and drive meaningful impact. But the foundation of it is as important as the end goal as well.
So for those that don't know, the esha or the waste products on the market can be used for so many different things. It can be used in snail farming, for instance. It can also be used in fertilizer production, rather compost production, which is also helpful for the farmer. So I get how you've decided to also take control of the waste products as well. It's a very, very impactful aspect of things. Thank you so much for doing that. So now let's talk about the average person and trust. I've had a few experiences online, because I know you have a background in fintech. I do understand the security aspect of things. You're well aware. People putting in their details, having someone to interact with, that also adds to cost on your bottom line, right? So how have you been able to sort of surmount those challenges, make sure that everything is seamless without so much human interaction?
Yes, it's building on top of what exists, and that's really how innovation works. So what it means is that we try to become a specialist at something, and what we're trying to be specialist at is like the supply chain and the movement of goods. But what we also do is collaborate and build on top of existing infrastructure that allows the work and also help to emphasize trust. So for example, when you're paying on GoLemon, you're paying with familiar platforms like Paystack, where you know that GoLemon is not managing your card payments. The technology is built on top of world-class tech like AWS and so on. Amazing. That just, there's a lot of intentionality that has gone into it. But again, what we do is that we focus on the opportunity that exists, like in itself, and then we build on top of existing platforms that help to sort of portray trust to customers.
Yeah. There are a lot of doubts with regards to the use of AI, right? A lot of, so there's a particular online website, it's an international one, has 4 letters in it. I'm not going to say the name, but there's a lot of pictures of AI based models wearing clothes and enhanced photos and all that, making things look all glossy and glamorous. And then when the product eventually arrives, hello, you know, it doesn't look exactly, you know, as you saw. I'm a little concerned about that journey between, you know, getting people to trust what they're seeing on the site and actually making that purchase. The speed, how much time does it take for people to make that decision on a platform like GoLemon?
Yeah, for GoLemon, at the moment, we cater to 2 use cases, if I put it that way. First is there is the impulsive, quick commerce type business, and we've just gotten into a partnership with Chowdeck that helps to power last mile delivery for quick delivery. So it means that you buy your groceries now, you run out of toothpaste or you run out of tomatoes, and you can get it to you in like 15, 20, 30 minutes. Right? But there's also the large basket purchases, which is typical on our primary platform, where it's at the end of the month, you get your salary, you want to, but you know that grocery purchase where you stock up for the rest of the family, you buy the rice and the yam and the water and everything. The oil, everything. Exactly. And that is also the use case. In that scenario, we deliver next day. So you place your order today and you get it tomorrow. So trust is very essential. In fact, it's the life of our business. And we're super intentional about it.
I have to say thank you so much, Yinka, for coming to talk to us about GoLemon and, of course, the technology behind it. It's been so well thought out and so well structured, and we have to appreciate the fact that, hey, technology is the way to go when purchasing, especially when it comes to groceries and local products now. All right, then, we're going to be taking a quick break. There's still so much more coming your way on Wake Up Nigeria.